9:02 a.m. on that link 24. I see you start recording. Item 2, adopt agenda for this meeting.
Mr. Chair, I, propose an amendment to 8A to add the request to use sick leave reserve, sick leave from Vincent Smith, Clayton County Fire Department, make that item 8A. Yes, I'll make the motion for that.
Okay, you said it.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved and approved. Item 3, consider approval for Civil Service Board meeting minutes held on February 28, 2024.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, so moved and approved. Item 4, consider approval for Civil Service Board executive session minutes regarding Kyle Sheriff Fire Department grievance heard on February 28, 2024.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved and approved, it's unanimous. Item 5, consider approval for written Civil Service Board decision regarding Kyle Sheriff Fire Department grievance heard on February 28. Motion.
Move.
Okay. So moved and approved. All in favor?
Second. I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved and approved. Item 6, consider approval for the Civil Service Board executive session minutes regarding Shalonda Riley Magistrate Court termination appeal heard on February 28, 2024.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved and approved. Item 7, consider approval for written Civil Service Board decision regarding Shalonda Riley Magistrate Court termination appeal heard on February 28. Motion carried by unanimous vote 5-0 to uphold county's decision to terminate the appellants.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved and approved. Item 8, consider request for Chief Financial Officer Stacy Merritt from Stacy Merritt to extend the second probationary period of male clerk Cora Butler Finance for an additional 6 months until August 2nd, 2024. Is Merritt here or
No, I'm here in her place. She's at the conference.
would you like to come up to the podium?
Certain.
Ms. Butler?
She's not here. We had extended her probation.
IT, can you show the attendees list and see if Ms. Cora Butler is in attendance?
Okay, she can attend this.
Madam Chair, HR did notify Ms. Butler. It was our understanding that she would be in attendance today. So she was notified.
Thank you. I'm sorry, now it's Jane.
My name is Kim Booth. I'm the Deputy Chief Financial Officer. So we had extended her probation, because the position that she's in is, very time sensitive with deadlines and things, because it's the male clerk position, and we have deadlines and we have to get things out. And she has had a consistent problem with being tardy, not making it work on time, and, being very erratic in her attendance. We had extended it for 6 months because of that, to give her an opportunity to rectify the situation. However, in that 6-month period, she had some personal things happen, and she was out for about 3 months of that because she was on FMLA. So all we're asking is if we had to go based on the few months that she was here during that time frame, she was late 32 times in that short time. So we know that there were some extenuating circumstances and things that she was dealing with, so we want to give her an additional 6 months to rectify that and to prove that she can resolve that issue.
Uh. Ms. Booth, okay, when you tell me an employee has been late 32 times, and then in that time frame, if my Jeff Robodine matches, so really here, right? I don't want to take the boots off, Dave, but, there's a large gap that she was not there. So that takes even less time, and she hadn't completed a year.
Yes, sir.
So that 32 is dang near every week. She's late.
Yes, sir, and I will say, she did had some extenuating circumstances in her personal life going on. I don't know if I can speak to those issues, they were not health issues, but they were issues that she was having, and we're trying to be, we're trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and let her show now that she has rectified those issues, can she, make a clean start and resolve that issue.
Is she doing better?
She's only been back for like a week, two now, I think a week or two now from her FMLA, so she just came back.
Has she been on time a week?
Not every day.
What corrective measures have been taken on the part of finance? Have we written her up and that?
We did, yes, sir. This is her direct supervisor, and has been, he's mentored her recently, sat her down, had a conversation. I believe that she understands how the seriousness of the situation, but we would like to give her an additional 6 months to, give her a fair 6 months of time frame to assess her situation.
So you feel like she's still really interested in working for the county?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear from her direct supervisor, so you can give us some feedback on I guess conversations you had with her, what her demeanor or what her receptiveness of this.
Okay, so as far as conversations we've had, we sat down, discussed the reasoning and the circumstances of extending the probation. I explained that being on time was a big part of this. It was basically the main part of this. We spoke that, lunch breaks were important, make sure they're on time and for the hour. I explained to her that, we now have a full staff mailroom, so being on time everybody's running as it's a working machine now, and it's especially important even to everybody else, so that everybody can be on time, everybody's doing their part, and that in the past the reasons for this was the tardiness, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a fresh start. We're looking to give her a fair chance rather than just, she's supposed to get the 6 months, and unfortunately, due to LA, I can't even look at that time, and just giving a small snapshot of that, I was looking to give her a larger time span and a bigger shot.
And I'm sorry, I have to roll back just a minute. How long has she been back since?
I believe it's just about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes,
And in that 2 week span, she's been already,
I believe 2 days, once by 7 minutes and the other by 8. And that's all that's on my head.
and just generally speaking, it's 9 to 5.
8 to 5.
8 to 5.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
What is her reason for being late?
I haven't pressed for reasons, at least for these 2 days. I've just become her supervisor as of a couple weeks, or maybe about last month. They decided to move mailroom back to where it had originally been, which was under my position. And so I've taken this under my role. So while she was out, I couldn't really I was in contact with her and, Kim assisted me as well on, seeing when she's coming back for FMLA, that, we've only had that 2 weeks and, I'm working with her on that.
I know you all mentioned, there were extenuating circumstances outside of HIPAA stuff.
Yes.
Can you speak on some of those extenuating?
Oh, I see, it's not familiar.
Positive things?
Yes, there were some issues with her daughter. And she had to retain custody of her grandchildren. She was having to go to court to try to save her grandchildren. However, there were a lot of times, there were a lot of times when, she was dealing with those kind of issues, so we just feel like, we want to try to salvage her as an employee, and we want to give her a fair opportunity, and we just don't feel like within that 6 months, there were just a lot. It was like the perfect storm, so we want to give her a 6-month period where we know those things have been, they're not on the table anymore, so now we want to give her an opportunity, instead of terminating her, we just feel like we would like to extend her probation to try to give her a chance to, it's her opportunity to make or break the situation.
I understand, maybe Ms. Butler has arrived. Yes. Ms. Butler, would you like to come up and give us some insight on the situation?
I do apologize, late. I was told that it was gonna be later, so what I do best is try and get the mail out, because it's very important. So, I love my job, and I try to do, everything to detail and work it consistent. There's 2 people that's supposed to be in that department, and I've been working by myself, diligently by myself for the last year. The support that I supposed to have to generally really sick. And with my situation with the family, I had came back and everything seemed to be okay. And all of a sudden, my daughter had a situation where I had to take upon my grandson, which is 2. There's 2 of them. That's a 3-year-old and a 8-year-old. When that happened, I had to place the child into my custody to live with me, and it just took on where I had to get him temporary custody. It had to go back and forth to the court, get him ready for school. It was chaos where trying to run a pattern, what have you. It just seemed like everything was happening, trying to get to work, but I ended up being late. With that said, once again, I work, work and had no complaint, working along, trying to do what I need to do. But with my going back on probation on my vacation, got ill. It was an illness that I had no knowledge of. I've been working with my sickness for the last 6 years. And they did not know, and I assumed it was cancer. I'm not pitying on that, I'm just blessed that it's not. I had to have some major surgery. And I told my employer, I'm sorry, I couldn't come back in at the time, so I tried to push it, and the doctor told me there's no way. You have to have the surgery and you have to recover. So that's what happened. And then I came back to work, and I'm just trying to establish it.
So you do enjoy what you do, you do want to work.
Yes, exactly, I do.
I would say to you, kudos for you for fighting for your grandchildren,
Thank you.
first of all. And I'm sorry you had the physical issues. The only thing I would say is 15 minutes a little early, and I worked 35 years, so I know, and you don't always know what the traffic's gonna be like, or what other kind of grandchild doesn't want to eat his breakfast, and stuff like that. So 15 minutes can make a difference. But kudos also to your supervisor and your manager for trying to salvage an employee that they have faith.
Ms. Butler. I hadn't heard anyone, from folks that's in your supervisory chamber speaking badness or illness about your work performance. They spoke about you not being there. You know, some people say LeBron James is the greatest basketball player. I don't. But as great as he could be, if he don't show up for the game, it matters not. You gotta be on time where you're supposed to be. Because if you're not, it doesn't happen. I know you spoke about notifications about the illness and that kind of thing, great. But they documented 32 parties. That's a lot, and that's absent FMLA.
Well, let me explain something to you, I'm gonna go a little deeper into my personal. I work a full job here. And the pain that I had, it will wake me up in the middle of the morning. It's so hard. Taking medicine, getting yourself feel better to go to work. And I tell you, personal business, it work. Trying to be strong with your kids, your grandkids, it's just hard. I want to come to work and get yourself back in place to work and come to work. It was just hard. And financially, it's not, financially, it's work I want to work. I worked at the post office for 20-some years, seasonal and FedEx. I have many jobs that ask me to come back. This was the hardest, not knowing if I had cancer. I've been going through it. And it's so personal, you can't tell your manager, you're in pain, you got another worker, and you trying to do the best you can, you work, and what did I do? I leave out, and but she said something happens. I even leave out to see like, oh my God, it's something happens. Well, I was like, I'm not going to work. It takes hours just to get myself healthy. But I want to work. I want to work. And when I hear, listen, they don't hear better. But still, I'm late. I gotta do better than that. So whatever I say, or whatever I went through, or going through, I'm like, oh, wait. I didn't know that many times. I apologize, and I come in and I go to work, but that's what they're using, I'm like. Okay, thank you.
And
Sorry.
okay, I understand all that. But again, you said it yourself.
Yes,
No, you don't know what I'm saying. No, you know what, if you said it yourself, and that is, you gotta make notification. You gotta notify. If these things are going on, guess what? They can't fix anything if they don't know it. So it's incumbent upon you to share. You know, in this whole Clayton County governmental thing, the most intimate and private stuff, you have to share it. It's gonna affect your work because there is a need to know. Now, if you tell the director, that person, it goes no further than that person. Need to know. They need to know. It's just like being, if the stuff with the grandkids and that kind of thing, those, if it's court takes precedence over everything. Just like this hearing today, if you had a case in state court, magistrate court, superior court, it would take precedence over this. Court takes precedent. You know, they say lay all other things aside and be. So those are excusable things if they know. They have to know. You just can't. Surprise. Well, I had this. It's a governmental entity. They don't adjust the government schedule to fit yours. You adjust your schedule to fit the governmental entity. So again, you have to be here in order to work. Thank you.
And if you know something in advance, you go right to your supervisor and say, hey, on this date, you know, I've been told to show up in court, or I have a medical appointment or whatever. Give them as much notice as you can, and if you are late, call and say, look, whatever happened, you know. So I think, if they don't know why you're late, is a big difference to them being aware of exactly what your extenuating circumstances are.
So thank you for being very candid with us today.
Yes.
I'm sure it took a lot of courage to share your intimate details with us. Again, I understand your circumstances. I have to agree with Ms. Lancaster, you know, maybe leave a little bit early. I have to get on my husband all the time about being late. He's notorious for being late, so if we gotta do something at 9 o'clock, I'm saying it'd be at 8 o'clock. So, but anyway, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a motion?
I move we approve the extended
I second that.
promotion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. It's carried 3-1. Ms. Butler's probationary period will be extended. That's just it.
Thank you all.
Opposed. Item 8A. The request from Penn Select from the fire department. Request for Sergeant Vincent Smith to use reserve.
Morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members, thanks so much for allowing the opportunity this morning. Fire Sergeant Vincent Smith is currently out on an unrelated work injury and is coming close to using his sick leave. He's requesting the approval of the board to have the opportunity to reach into his reserve sick leave bank and utilize that should he arise.
This, again, this just troubles me. You said he was out on a work-related injury?
Unrelated,
Oh, unrelated, sorry.
unrelated.
I'll turn my hearing aid on.
Yes. Unrelated.
Okay. Then in that case, forget what I said. Yeah.
Question, discussion. That was everyone.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, it is.
Make motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thanks so much.
9 calendar call. Cases. Michelle's smiling over there.
That's okay. We have one next month, so.
Item 10, discussion. Items.
Yeah.
That's what I'm currently doing.
An official good morning to the Civil Service Board. Good morning to those who are here, and good morning to our Clayton County citizens. In regards to the next meeting date, We have April 24th, which is the day after my birthday.
32.
25.
That's what I say too.
We do have one case for April, Kyle Sherritt, grievance. Witness list is due April the 4th. Exhibits April the 9th. Continuance request April the 15th. And that's the
That's
only
bad,
case.
Pam.
Mhm.
I said, that's bad, that's tax day.
Don't remind me, Chair. Thanks a lot, I haven't had my coffee. Thank you for reminding me about April 15th. I don't think we have gotten any more grievances or appeal at this time, Becky, so right, Becky, am I right? So the system is working. I did want to give the board an update. Desmond Coleman, we're in the process of bringing him back to work. So we're working through all of that. Grace Taylor, you all remember that sheriff case, the county appealed, but the county withdrew the appeal. Grace was a demotion, so now we're working on getting her back pay. In regards to all of the other cases that we're holding, that are pending, the last update I had is that Ms. Council Anita Thomas was going to meet with Chairman Turner for further discussion. So that's all that I have on that, but I will be getting in contact with Chuck to get additional updates on that, but they are moving toward resolutions. Monique Kidd, and you all remember that case, Sheriff Office. The settlement is now in the final stages for that. Our rewrite committee is going excellent. There's a lot of spirited discussions as we go through the process, as it should be. I do want to thank Madam Chair and Vice Chair for their commitment of their time for this project, as well as Michelle, who's here today. So we're definitely making progress on that. It's definitely needed as we bring Mr. Coleman back to work. There is an area of the civil service rule that we really need to look at. And I think we'll be getting into that. I believe it's in Rule 5. No, it's not. It should be in Rule 11, if I'm not mistaken. But there are some major concerns that I have as the HR director and a citizen of Clayton County. I have a concern about that. So I've communicated to Dietrich Chubb, Chairman, just how important this rewrite committee is, and Dietrich even mentioned it during the leadership meeting and appreciates the work that we are doing there. I do want to go ahead, Ms. Lancaster.
Is the concern to the point that that's something that we need to go ahead and address to try to correct before you go through all the steps of the rewrite?
And that's a good point, Ms. Lancaster. And for me, the concern is that strong. This is the second time during my tenure as HR director that this has happened. And I don't want to get into too much detail right now, but this is the second time that I've had to actually bring someone back to work. We've had other appellants win their cases during my tenure, but they didn't want to come back to work. The last one was an incident with a particular magistrate court employee years ago. She won her case. I'll go ahead and say it. If there is the danger for me, if there is no position for the person to come back to, there's a high possibility that they could be on the payroll and not working. And that does need to be addressed. So I'm glad that you asked that question, because I do think that that's something that we need to take a look at.
Sooner than later, because,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, like you say, you got two cases where this has occurred. And we don't want an employee out there getting paid and not sitting at home or sitting in a closet doing it, nothing, you know, like you say. So maybe that's put our heads together and figure out, you know, could that employee be assigned to a comparable position in another area of the county or,
And the issue with that is civil service rules give the department head the authority to hire and terminate. And, there's never been any interference by any executive leadership or anything like that to, I don't wanna use the word coerce because that's a little harsh, but to ask the department head to hire X, Y, Z. Because that has to be up to that department head to hire that individual. In the last, case, we were able to bring the person back to work. Because CFO Bivens at the time offered this employee, the opportunity to work in her department. And the employee accepted, but,
wasn't that a sheriff's office employee?
no, ma'am, this was a magistrate court employee.
You know,
And she ended up actually retiring from the county, so it worked out well. But there is concern, and it's no fault of the appellant, not in this case, I wouldn't even say it is fault of the county. Where we are now, the civil service system is back in place to work as it was intended, where the cases are being heard quickly enough that if you all put the appellant back to work, then that department, more than likely, that position will be open for that person to go back to. But of course, we all know the history of what has gotten us here, in this situation.
okay, now, in the case of Desmond Coleman, is he gonna have a slot to go back to?
We have a meeting, we'll be talking about that soon. But be that, you know, as it may, I have to follow the civil service rules and bring him back to work, which means putting him back on the paper. So we are in discussion about that, and there's a meeting, I think, scheduled, soon about that, but in the meantime, HR has moved forward with bringing him back to work.
Let me ask another question.
Yes, ma'am.
So are all the positions in the sheriff's office occupied for which he can qualify?
There is no captain slot that's available. He left as a captain, well, he was terminated as a captain, so we have to bring him back as a captain. I know that Mr. Coleman had been with the county for a long time, so we know the skill set is there. If we can utilize him, you know, I would rather, in fairness across the board to Mr. Coleman, and to his credit, he's ready to come back. So he's willing and ready, to come back to work. But that is an issue in the civil service rules that we need to look at. Because I don't wanna say too much up here at this point, but I don't, for the board to understand where I'm coming from. If we were to put him back on the payroll and not bring him back to work, I don't think there's even a time limit within the civil service rules where we can say, okay, we're gonna, and I'll stop there. HR knows when to shut up. But we do have some work in Ms. Lancaster, based on your feedback. I think that is something that we need to accelerate,
Let
to the
me
top
say
of the
this,
list.
now, you understand, I'm going way back in my memory on this. As I recall, if we had an employee that was returned as a result of an adverse action, they had to be given priority placement, you know what I'm saying? To try to put them in a comparable position. And if a position came open, they had to fill it with that employee, you know what I'm saying? like if you had a captain's position come open, they couldn't promote within, they would have to say, okay, we've got this qualified employee right here that has returned as a result of an adverse action, therefore we have to put him in that position. So that's just a suggestion to think about when you start trying to think about how to, try to correct some of these errors that we know we're probably gonna have more of them as these cases are heard or settled or whatever happens to them, that, they won't have that particular position to put them back in. But there's a mechanism to get them back there as soon as possible, and you put a time limit on it. I don't even remember now, I'm thinking 2 or 3 years. If you had a captain's position to come open, they had to go back in there.
We definitely, like I said, this is the second time, in my tenure as HR director that this has happened. And, we do need to take a look at it though, to try to iron it out and make sure that it's fair in the rewrite. And as Michelle, Madam Chair and Vice Chair can attest to, you know, we are, my goal is to, create accountability across the board, accountability for the county, accountability for the supervisor, accountability to the employee. We're not changing the basic intent of the act, but we are trying to make sure that there's accountability across the board. Because when people tend to think about civil service rules and stuff, they think favor the employee, and that's not true. It's to provide protection for all people, being as a department head, supervisor, the employees. That's the essence of the rule, is accountability from start to finish with everybody. And the committee is doing an excellent job in making sure that we look at it from all those perspectives.
Okay, you answered a couple of things that I was gonna say, so I'm just gonna go with this part. I don't think, I mean, I get it. There's a change needed, but it wouldn't be effective for anyone on the calendar. Because it's grandfather, it's there, we just gotta deal with it. You know, the thing that you're doing already, and that is having supervisors be more accountable and attend training, so they don't make these stinking mistakes, because that's what's costing us. It's not the other, it's you're not doing the job. I'm like, some of the things that's going on with the country, it's not that we don't, people being so lawless, is you're not enforcing the laws that's on the books. Yeah, we can create a new one. Ooh, well, if you didn't enforce the first one, what's the new one gonna do? Ooh, wow. Okay, murder, yeah, okay, they did, okay, yeah. But anyway, I think, yes, that's definitely one that we need to highlight, circle, and see what can be done. But, on the outside looking in, I honestly believe that is not such a complex, situation that you're facing. It is, in my estimation, it's rather simple. Because, you know, those of you who didn't like my decision with Ms. Butler, it goes along that line. As my grandma used to say, you gotta break some eggs to make a cake. They're pretty, but you gotta break them if you want to eat. So, you know, some things you just have to do. But that's my soliloquy for today.
You know, we discussed this, so I understand what you're saying.
How frequently does the rewrite committee meet?
Every Friday,
Okay, great.
for what, 3 hours? Yeah, every Friday. Okay. And there was good momentum, and I wanna keep that momentum.
Yes,
That's going, the conversations are so spirited. Because everybody cares, you know, that shows me that everybody cares, and of course, I'm facilitating and moderating, and I'm like, okay. Got to keep it. I think we spent, well, Michelle, chair and vice chair, about 30 minutes.
On the word next. On the word next.
And I think that, and the chiefs went, since you were here, Weller and Bookman, they're doing excellent. So, and I've told them it's gonna take time. And everybody seems to be, every member seems to be in it for the long haul. And we've got to get it done,
Consistency.
you know, we got to get it done, so and it was difficult for me going, last Friday. I am supposed to be in Savannah. I was traveling with, CFO Merritt. I think Chair kind of looked at me like, what are you doing here this morning? But CFO Merritt and I was going to be traveling together. And I just had a series of just different things to happen, this weekend that kept me from going. And she's coming back today and I'm like, golly, I would have gotten those hours under my belt because this conference, I have to have it. I have to have the hours to keep my certification. But there's another opportunity in September. But yeah, I mean, I'm serious. I did not want to be there. Last Friday, it was raining. It has been raining.
Every single Friday since it started.
Yeah, and so that I really told the committee members, that just the commitment that they are putting forth with this is just phenomenal. I know if I didn't want to be there, y'all would want to be there.
I have to say that last time we met, we were doing really well, but then COVID showed up.
That's right.
And hopefully nothing else shows up.
Right.
But we were doing really well, but
If we had just
boom,
completed the, part, if there was an emergency. I thought that was ironic, you know, an emergency shutdown, and they were talking all these scenarios about storms and all this, and then boom.
I always, just so grateful to the Civil Service Board for giving me the opportunity, to serve. And I know Ms. Lancaster, Ms. Phillip Hall, Dr. Jackson, Larry Bartlett, who is in my heart, you all put your foot down and thou shalt not be moved. Which is important for me to do the best possible job I can. But it is this year, the Lord's willing, it'll be 25 years. So I can't stand here and say I'm not thinking about what the next step is gonna be. It'll be here in Clayton County. I'm not going anywhere. But there are some things on my bucket list that I need to get done when the time comes for me to hand it off to the next director. And getting these rules rewritten is one of those things. Not going anywhere yet, not anytime soon, but it will be 25 years in office. Can you believe it's been that long?
Yes, ma'am. Very well.
Also, I want to let the board know that we have employee appreciation, well, not appreciation, we wanted to go a little deeper than that, Employee Gratitude Day. Pay attention to the April 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting. There's gonna be something special there. I won't get into what that will be. But pay attention to it for me. And we do have the first annual Employee Gratitude Day that's gonna be held on the 5th of April from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I wish I could close the county down, but of course I can't do that. So it's a drop-in event and it's going to be awesome. We have DJ, live DJ. We have catered food coming in for the employees from North Magnolia, Chef Q. We have at least 12 of our carriers and partners like Anthem, Kaiser, Delta Dental. They will be there and they're gonna have swag bags for the employees. We're gonna be raffling prizes. And I can tell y'all employees know by now that when HR gives prizes, we don't give Ricky Dean stuff. Our employees deserve the best. Games, and we even have live fitness sessions. I think yoga and Zumba. And employees can go in and participate as long, and just, it's gonna be awesome. And we are encouraging the, department heads to let the employees, go outside, no work has to go on. But it is between 11 and 3, we're even asking the citizens if they want to stop by, but if the board has the opportunity to stop by, I'm inviting you all to stop by.
Date is that?
It's gonna be Friday, April the 5th, I know Chair is not gonna be here. And I think what we're gonna do next year is kind of push it back, because that is spring break. We'll have to be cosmic spring break, but we're scheduling that. Michelle, you're welcome to call too, stop by.
Where is it gonna be?
What is it, North event, I wanna make sure I get it right.
It's by the parking lot.
Yeah, it's the old VIP, it's still a VIP to me, I still refer to it as the VIP,
Right.
so it'll be held out there. Kudos to our
At the
health,
International Park.
yes, ma'am. And kudos,
But that's a nice venue.
it is, we'll have lots of pictures and, videos and stuff like that. But y'all pay attention to the April 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting for.
If it's outside, we gonna pray for no rain that Friday.
So we have our little plan, just move it to the inside.
Cause it has rained every Friday.
Right.
Since we started.
Yeah, Edward, he's looking every day. So we hope and pray that the rain.
There's nice pavilions out there, some big ones.
I believe that is all that I have, for Becky, am I missing anything? You're doing, okay. All right, I think that's it. That I
Thank
have.
you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Item 11 on the agenda is executive session. Simple thing.
No need.
Item 12, other business. Last item is item 13, adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved and approved. Adjourned at 9:20.